Alright guys, happy Father's Day. For Father's Day, I'm letting my dad tell a story on the channel. It's a pretty good story, you should stay tuned for it. Yeah, here we go.
I was 15 years old, I think. It was like 1986. All right, so I lived out in the county, not in town. Lots of my friends had driver's licenses. They could drive. But I was not 16 yet, so I had no driver's license, no car. But I did have a motorcycle. It was an old Honda 100, and man, it was wore slap out. We worked on it all the time. It was missing parts. My mom did not want me to ride the thing on the roads. Thought it was a bad idea, but my dad had been on motorbikes a lot when he was a kid, so he thought it was cool. So he just kept on protecting me from mom, and he was like, hey, it'll be okay. Just be real careful, son. Now, I knew I shouldn't be riding it on the roads, but I couldn't help it. And these were like county roads back in 1986. So where we lived, there wasn't a lot of traffic. Well, okay, it was a beautiful fall day. I was on the school bus riding home. I just couldn't wait to get home to get on my bike. I got off the bus with my little brother. I ran on into the house. Nobody was there. My dad was a fireman in the field, and my mom was at her job. And I jumped on my motorbike, and I cranked it up. And I took off. It was a beautiful day. The sun was shining. The breeze felt great, and I was cruising down the road to go to the store to get a Coke. The leaves swirled in the wake of my awesome motorcycle. I turned off my driveway in a long, swooping curve, and I hit the open road. I hit the gas and picked up speed. This was awesome. And that is when I saw it. There, sitting in the middle of the road in front of me, was a huge brown paper bag. It looked like it had blown out of the back of somebody's truck. It looked like the wind had inflated it, and it was just sitting there in the road, in the middle of the road, and this quick thought comes to my mind, right? I'm like, I am going to hit that paper bag and make it pop. I'll hit it so fast, it'll go pow, and it's going to be cool. So I kicked on the gas to go faster. And I got right on top of it going really fast. Here we go. And that's when I saw this was not a paper bag, not at all. No, it was a large brown-colored field rock. There was no time to turn, no time to brake, no time to do anything or even think. And then, bam! The bike flew into the air, somersaulting, and I flew forward off from the bike, launched like Superman, arms flailing in the wind, and then crash. I came down on the asphalt, and I crawled over, and I sort of tried to stand up, and I was dizzy. My head hurt, my face hurt, my side hurt. I touched my chin, blood. I touched my side, more blood. The button, like from the side of my denim jeans, had like punched into my side. And there was my bike in the ditch like a wounded animal, still going. So like a zombie, right? I walk over here to my bike, and I picked up my bike. Now the handlebars were like all jacked up, and it was like leaking oil everywhere. I turned it off, and I started pushing it, limping sort of back up the road to my driveway. Man, I was hurting. So finally, I get home, and I limp inside, and I head for the telephone. And so I was like, man, I am hurt now. But when my mom finds out I had that motorcycle out on the road, and I had this little wreck, Mom is going to kill me. I've got to get Dad to help me get out of this and get me fixed up. So I run to the phone to call Dad, and right before I get to it, the phone rings. Ring! And I answered it. Hello? And it was my girlfriend. Now let's call her Piper. Piper. We'll use Piper. Okay. So anyhow, she said, hey, how are you doing? And I was like, I said something like, oh, I can't talk right now. I'm bleeding. I've been in an accident. I gotta go. I gotta talk later. And she was all like, what? Are you okay? I mean, what can I do? Can I come help? I can come help you. And I was like, no, I'll be okay. I gotta go. I'm bleeding on the carpet. And so I hang up the phone. And while she's still saying, I can come help, click. So then I call my dad's shop. He was a farmer, right? So he had a shop just down the road. So I called it, and it rang and rang and rang. Dad did not answer. But finally there was an answer. It was my grandfather. Hello? He said. And I said, Daddy Bryce, hey, I need Dad. I need to talk to Dad. Now, that was what I called my granddaddy. I didn't call him Grandpop or Paw. Now, don't judge. Everybody calls their grandfather something different. I called him Daddy Price. It was a long story. And he said, why? Why you need him, boy? Come on up here. I need some help picking up rocks. And I'm like, no, Daddy Price, no, not now. I'm hurt. I've had a wreck. I'm bleeding. And he's like, a wreck? What do you mean a wreck? I'll be right there. And I'm like, no, just send Dad. No, sir, I'm on my way right now, boy. And so, click, he hangs up the phone. Now, I was really scared. Not because Daddy Price was mean. I mean, he was great, but because I knew what he'd bring with him. He had some kind of orange-colored soupy medicine called methylate. that he used on every wound, cut, or scrape that us kids ever had. It came with like a little brush, like a paintbrush, and you brush it on the wound like paint, and it would light up your skin on fire. Now, I limped to the back of the house. I mean, if he brought that stuff, this was going to be way worse than the wreck. I mean, I'm cut all over my face, and I didn't even want to look at my hip. I could see the blood stain through my jeans. My head was scrambled, and I wasn't thinking straight. All I could think was, I got to get out of here. So I go to the back door behind the house. Maybe I can hide from him. And that's when he came around the corner, around the back of the house and the outside, like he knew right where I was. He was like, "Boy, come over here," he said. "I brought you some medicine." And he pulls out that orange jar of liquid fire. And I'm like, "Daddy Price, no," I said, but it did not matter. He grabbed me and he said, "Don't be a baby, boy. This is some good stuff. Now strip down so I can get to the wound." And he grabbed the water hose. I had no choice in the matter. I was cornered, so I did what he said. I stripped down. I took it all off, and I stood there bleeding from my face and my hip, and he turned on that cold water hose and sprayed me down, spraying off the blood, saying, "Stand still, boy," as I sputtered in the cold water and tried to cover up. "Oh, it's cold, that's cold." And he said, "Don't be a baby, boy," he said, and he pulled out the orange methylate jar. And when he hit the gash on my hip, and he painted it orange, I yelled out a crazy yell like a wild man loose in the woods. Yow! My hip was on fire, like it had been dipped in molten lava, and all I could do was try to run. So I yelled, squirming around with no clothes on, as he grabbed my arm and he started laughing at me, smearing that orange paint all over my side. Well, really all over me, because I was squirming and trying to get away. And he said, "Boy," he started laughing. He said, "Stop squirming around." And that's when my girlfriend Piper and her mom came around the corner of the house. "Shane, are you okay?" "Oh, Ma!" she screamed, and her mom screamed. And I burst free from Daddy Price, and I started screaming, running away as fast as I could around the other corner on the side of the house. Okay, Harrison, so that's my story. I'll leave out the part where I refused to come back to the house and out of the woods. And how methylate was recalled just a few years later because scientists learned, no kidding, that it caused mercury poisoning when used in excessive amounts. So, right, there's a moral, right? There's got to be a moral. Okay, so here's what you need to learn from this story. Number 1, always wear a helmet when you ride a motorcycle. Number 2, don't run over strange things in the road. And number 3, unless it is your only chance for survival, never, ever, never, ever, never answer a call from your girlfriend when you're bleeding.